is that the World Hotel? It is, great, okay. Yeah, I need some rooms for next week. Yeah. For how many people? Yeah, for 1 million. Yeah, a million. You don't have enough room. Okay, alright, thanks, I'll try somewhere else. Bye. Every week, we add an additional 1.5 million people to planet Earth. That's the equivalent of filling 500 of these ships every week. Or adding the entire population of London every 5 weeks. 9 Londons every year. And every single additional human requires water, food, shelter, and hopefully a whole lot more for the whole of their lives. A question rarely asked outside scientific circles is how many people can we support on this planet, at what quality of life, and for how long? Currently, humans use around 2.8 hectares of land to supply all their demands. That's around the same size as this field, or 4 full-size baseball pitches. This is an average though. Some regions and people use more, and some use less. For example, in the USA, the average use of biologically productive land is around 7 to 8 hectares per person, while the amount actually available per person is 3 to 4 hectares. In different countries, the amount of biologically productive land available per person varies from as low as 0.02 hectares in Singapore, that's about the same size as a singles tennis court, to 62 hectares in Guyana. The average amount of productive land available worldwide per person is 1.8 hectares, but of course this drops as the population rises. So currently we have a situation where the available amount per person is just 1.8 hectares, but the average use is 2.8 hectares. Of course this leaves us with a question. How can a country be using more land and renewable resources than is available there in the long run? There are 2 answers to this. One is through imports. Most cities worldwide have to import almost everything from outside regions. The other is that countries rely on non-renewable resources, such as oil, coal and gas, or over-exploitation of ecosystems and nature to maintain an artificially high consumption rate for a short time. Herbicides, pesticides and factory-made inorganic fertilisers are all reliant on non-renewable resources, as is our food supply. Our soils are being depleted and the majority of ecosystems are sadly in decline. So to come back to the question, how many people can we support at what quality of life and for how long? The answer depends on what quality of life we want. If everyone converged on the average consumption level of a person from Bolivia, then we could support 7 billion long term. If everyone wants an average European quality of life, then we could support 2 billion long term. If everyone wanted an average American quality of life, then we could support 1 to 1.5 billion long term. The current population is more than 7 billion. And if we do nothing, 10 billion by 2050. Have a look at this list. Only one of them is a cause. The rest are consequences. Only one of them is a cause. The rest are consequences. If we are really serious about trying to eradicate poverty, then we need to stop focusing on the consequences and start dealing directly with the causes. Throughout recent history, many great minds, from Einstein to Martin Luther King, have warned us to reproduce responsibly within the Earth's limits to support us. More recently, they've been joined by other voices.
Turns out that when young women are getting proper schooling and see opportunity, they're less likely to have children early, smaller families, and so it actually ends up helping not only those young women succeed and look after their children, but it also helps
certainly so.
The environment.
So you have to have a literate, informed population with medical understanding of what problems are and what's available, and then the population, the birth rate falls.
Alcuni credono che, scusatemi la parola, che per essere buoni cattolici dobbiamo essere come conigli, no? No. Paternità responsabile. Questo è chiaro.
So there you have it. We need to reduce our impact and stay within the limits of nature's abilities to supply us. To do so, we have several options available. To reproduce responsibly and have smaller families. To stop worshipping endless growth. And divert investment into contraception and education, which, by the way, will cost significantly less than dealing with consequences. A perfect example of looking at consequences instead of causes is when looking at food production. There are hundreds of millions of people worldwide with no access to contraception or adequate education. The unintended pregnancies and unintended births which result from this means we need to grow 60% more food before 2050. A recent United Nations report on how to feed the world in 2050 stated that we would need to invest $83 billion every single year in agriculture to feed the growing population by 2050. As a cheaper, better alternative, fully meeting the need for modern contraceptive services worldwide would cost $9.4 billion per year. That's around $1.30 per person per year. Doing so would reduce unintended pregnancies by 70%, reduce poverty, reduce gender inequality, increase the chances of children getting a decent education, and avoid more of the consequences of an overpopulated Earth. It's that simple. Use a condom, save money, save the planet.